My beloved child, stop scrolling for just one sacred moment, because what has found you now was never meant to pass you by. Something is unfolding behind the silence, behind the unanswered questions, behind the strange heaviness you have felt without knowing why. Your soul has been sensing a decision before your mind could name it. You have felt it in the sudden memories, in the restless nights, in the moments when their face entered your thoughts without invitation. This is not here to frighten you. It is here because your soulmate is approaching the hardest choice of their life, and whether they are ready to admit it or not, that choice involves you. Do not leave this message halfway, because the first thing being revealed is not the choice itself. It is the reason this choice has become so difficult. From the outside, your soulmate may appear calm. They may continue with ordinary routines, speak to people as though nothing has changed, and even convince themselves that they still have time. But within them, two futures are pulling in opposite directions. One future feels familiar, predictable, and safe. The other carries your presence. It is uncertain, vulnerable, and impossible to control. Yet it is also the only future that makes their spirit feel fully alive. They have tried to silence this conflict. They have told themselves that what exists between you is only emotion, only timing, only imagination. They have attempted to place logic above longing. They may have stayed busy to avoid thinking, surrounded themselves with noise to escape the truth, or accepted advice from people who do not understand the depth of this connection. But each time they attempt to move away from what they feel, something within them returns to you. Not because they are weak, but because the heart remembers what the mind keeps trying to bury. Pause here, because something extraordinary is hidden inside their hesitation. Your soulmate is not only choosing between you and another direction. They are choosing between the person they have always been and the person they must become to love you honestly. That is why this moment feels so heavy. You are not asking them to change through words or demands. Your presence itself has awakened something they can no longer ignore. Being connected to you has shown them where they have been hiding, where they have settled, and where fear has been making decisions on their behalf. Before you entered their emotional world, they had built a life around survival. They learned how to appear strong while carrying unspoken wounds. They learned how to smile without revealing confusion. They learned how to walk away before anyone had the chance to leave them. They may have called this independence. They may have believed emotional distance was wisdom. But then you came near, and suddenly the walls that once protected them began to feel like a prison. This is why their behavior may have seemed inconsistent. One moment, they may have moved toward you with warmth, attention, and unmistakable emotion. The next, they may have withdrawn into silence. You wondered whether the connection was real. You questioned whether you had misunderstood their energy. But the truth is more complex than rejection. Every time they came close, they saw a future they deeply wanted. Every time they stepped back, they saw everything they might have to release in order to reach it. Stay until the end of this message, because what they may have to release is not what you first imagined. It may not be another person. It may not be a physical place. The greatest thing standing between your soulmate and this connection is an identity built from fear. They have spent years becoming someone who does not need too much, hope too deeply, or risk too openly. Yet loving you requires the opposite. It requires them to speak honestly, choose courage, and step into a future that cannot be guaranteed in advance. They are standing at the edge of that future now. You may have noticed that their silence feels different lately. It is not empty. It is crowded with questions. They are asking themselves what will happen if they choose you. They are imagining conversations they may need to have, expectations they may need to break, and truths they may finally have to confess. They are wondering whether they waited too long. They fear that while they were struggling with their decision, you may have started closing the door. This fear has become stronger than they expected. At first, they believed they could take their time. They thought the connection would remain exactly where they left it. They assumed your heart would wait without limit while they arranged every detail. But something has recently shifted. They have sensed your energy changing. You may not have announced it, yet your spirit has grown tired of uncertainty. You have begun remembering your value. You have started understanding that love should not require you to disappear while someone else decides whether you are worth choosing. Your soulmate feels this change. They may not know how they know, but they feel that the space between you is no longer frozen. It is moving. Time is carrying both of you forward, and they are beginning to understand that indecision is also a decision. Remaining silent may feel safe to them, but it could cost them the very person their heart has been trying to reach. Do not skip now, because this is where the hidden pressure becomes even more intense. Someone around your soulmate has recently noticed that they are not fully present. It may be a close friend, a relative, or someone who understands them better than they expected. This person has seen the way your soulmate becomes distant when your name is mentioned, the way they look at their phone and then place it down, the way their mood changes when conversations turn toward love, commitment, or the future. A question was asked. It may have sounded simple, but it reached the deepest part of them. What are you afraid of losing? Your soulmate did not answer immediately. They may have laughed, changed the subject, or offered a response that sounded reasonable. But later, when they were alone, the question returned. They realized they had been so focused on what choosing you might cost that they had not fully considered what refusing the connection could cost. That realization unsettled them. They began remembering the moments when you offered something rare, not perfection, but understanding. You saw beneath their guarded behavior. You noticed pain they never explained. You felt the difference between their words and their true emotion. Even when they created distance, a part of you understood that their withdrawal was not the whole story. Your soulmate knows this. They know that being seen in this way is not ordinary. They also know that such recognition does not appear endlessly. Something huge is waiting for you within this revelation. Your soulmate's hardest choice is becoming urgent because they have begun comparing two kinds of pain. The first pain is the discomfort of choosing you, speaking the truth, disappointing certain people, changing old plans, and risking vulnerability. The second pain is the possibility of watching you move on while knowing they allowed fear to decide everything. The second pain is becoming unbearable. They have imagined you giving your laughter to someone else. They have imagined another person receiving the tenderness they were too afraid to accept. They have imagined hearing that you are happy, while they remain trapped inside a life that once seemed safe but now feels painfully incomplete. These thoughts have awakened something fierce within them. Not possession. Not jealousy. It is recognition. They are finally recognizing the weight of what they could lose. Yet there is still another layer. Your soulmate does not only fear losing you. They fear reaching for you and discovering that their hesitation changed your heart. They wonder whether you would believe them now. They wonder whether an apology could repair the confusion. They wonder whether their truth would arrive as healing or as something too late. This is why they have rehearsed words in silence. They have imagined telling you everything, then stopped themselves because the first sentence felt impossible. What could they say? Could they admit that they felt the connection long before they acknowledged it? Could they confess that their distance was never proof that they did not care? Could they explain that every step away from you was followed by an invisible pullback? Could they tell you that they were not choosing someone else over you, but choosing fear over honesty? These questions are surrounding them now. Heaven is not forcing their decision. True love cannot be forced. A choice has meaning only when it rises freely from the heart. But divine light has been revealing the consequences of delay. Your soulmate is being shown that waiting for a perfect moment can become another form of running. They are being reminded that courage does not mean feeling no fear. Courage means recognizing what matters more than fear. And you matter more than they have allowed themselves to say. You must also understand your own place in this story. You are not meant to chase their decision or carry the responsibility for it. You are not required to prove your worth, perform for affection, or remain emotionally suspended. Your role is not to rescue them from their own hesitation. Your role is to remain aligned with truth. The connection may be sacred, but your peace is sacred too. This is where your strength has begun changing the entire situation. When you stopped pouring all your energy into unanswered questions, something shifted. When you began returning your focus to your own life, your own healing, and your own dignity, the spiritual balance changed. Your soulmate could no longer rely on the silent assurance that you would remain exactly where they left you. Your withdrawal was not punishment. It was restoration. You were being called back to yourself. For a long time, you may have interpreted patience as love. You gave them space. You tried to understand. You forgave mixed signals and kept hope alive through long periods of uncertainty. There was beauty in your compassion, but there came a point where patience began asking you to abandon yourself. Your soul refused. That refusal has become the catalyst for their choice. They feel the difference between your old energy and your new one. Before, your heart reached toward them even in silence. Now, your love may still exist, but it is no longer begging to be recognized. There is a calm boundary around you. There is an inner voice saying, I can love deeply without accepting confusion forever. This new strength has made your soulmate confront a truth they avoided. They cannot keep you in an unfinished chapter while they decide whether to turn the page. The choice is approaching. But listen carefully, because the decision will not be as simple as sending a message or speaking 3 emotional words. Those actions may happen, but they are only the visible surface. The true decision is whether your soulmate is willing to reorganize their life around honesty. Are they willing to stop hiding behind circumstances? Are they willing to choose a path that reflects what they truly feel rather than what others expect? Are they willing to release the version of themselves that survives through avoidance? That is the hardest choice of their life. They have made difficult decisions before. They have left places, ended chapters, and endured disappointments. But this is different because the outcome matters to their soul. With other choices, they could retreat into logic. With you, logic cannot fully explain why the connection remains alive despite distance, silence, or time. There are moments when they feel you without contacting you. A song carries your energy. A familiar phrase reminds them of something you said. They notice a place you would have loved, and for one brief second, they imagine you beside them. These moments seem small, but together they have become a quiet awakening. Your presence has woven itself into their inner world. They tried to remove it. They could not. Do not misunderstand this as a promise that everything will unfold exactly as you once imagined. The purpose of this message is not to bind you to an outcome. It is to reveal the spiritual reality of this crossroads. Your soulmate must choose freely, and you must remain free too. Love is not sacred because it guarantees possession. Love is sacred because it reveals truth. The truth being revealed to them is that their life cannot remain emotionally unchanged after knowing you. Even if they choose to continue running, they will know what they ran from. Even if they remain silent, they will understand what silence cost. But the energy surrounding them suggests that something inside has reached its limit. Their old methods no longer bring relief. Distraction does not work as it once did. The excuses sound empty even to them. The future they planned without you now feels incomplete. There was a recent moment, perhaps late at night, perhaps during a quiet drive, perhaps after hearing something unexpected, when your soulmate faced a vision of their future. They saw themselves months or years from now. In that vision, the details of life had moved forward, but the question of you remained unanswered. They felt the weight of regret so clearly that it startled them. For the first time, they understood that regret is not always born from making the wrong choice. Sometimes it is born from refusing to choose at all. That moment changed something. They began to consider action. They may have opened your messages. They may have searched for your name. They may have written words and erased them. They may have asked someone whether it was too late to repair a connection after too much silence. They may have revisited a memory they once avoided because it carried too much emotion. This is not random nostalgia. It is preparation. But preparation does not mean certainty. The final obstacle is still powerful. Your soulmate fears the moment when the choice becomes real. Thinking about you privately allows them to remain in control. Speaking to you removes that control. Once the truth is shared, they cannot predict your response. They cannot know whether you will welcome them, question them, or protect yourself. That uncertainty terrifies them because they are accustomed to controlling emotional outcomes through distance. But distance is no longer protecting them. It is becoming the very thing threatening to separate them from you. Stay with this message, because another revelation is opening. Your soulmate may be facing external pressure that makes the choice appear even more complicated. There may be family expectations, practical responsibilities, a promise made in the past, or a future others have designed for them. People around them may believe they know what is best. Some may encourage safety, familiarity, and appearances. Few understand what happens within your soulmate when they imagine a life without you. They have listened to many voices. Now they must decide whether to listen to their own. This is why they have felt emotionally exhausted. They are carrying the expectations of others in one hand and the truth of their heart in the other. The longer they hold both, the heavier they become. Soon, something must be released. Your soulmate knows that choosing you may change how certain people see them. They may disappoint someone. They may have to admit that a plan was wrong. They may need to walk away from a path they once defended. This is difficult for a person who has built their identity around being dependable, consistent, or pleasing to others. But a life built entirely around approval eventually becomes a life without authenticity. You have awakened their desire for authenticity. Not because you demanded it, but because they cannot imagine standing before you with half-truths anymore. They sense that you would feel the difference. You always have. You have never needed every detail to know when something was unspoken. Your intuition has been both a gift and a burden in this connection. You felt their emotion, but you also felt their resistance. You sensed possibility, but you could not build a future from possibility alone. Now your soulmate understands that feeling deeply is not enough. They must choose visibly. The unseen must become action. The hidden must become honest. The uncertain must become a decision. There is a moment approaching when they will be unable to continue balancing between two futures. Something may happen that forces clarity. It may be a conversation, an unexpected invitation, a change in circumstances, or simply the realization that you are no longer waiting in the same way. Whatever form it takes, it will bring the question directly before them. Will you continue living from fear, or will you finally move toward the person your heart has not been able to release? They already know the answer their soul wants to give. But knowing is not the same as choosing. This is the tension you have been feeling. It is why certain days seem emotionally charged without explanation. It is why you may wake from dreams with a sense that something was said, though you cannot remember the words. Your subconscious has been processing the movement around this connection. Yet you are being guided not to let anticipation consume you. Do not place your life on pause. Do not watch every sign and call it certainty. Do not abandon the present while waiting for someone else to become brave. Continue becoming the person you were always meant to be. Let your joy expand beyond this story. Let your purpose breathe. Let love find you first within your own heart. The more aligned you become, the clearer the path will be, whether your soulmate rises to meet you or reveals that they are not yet ready. Your power is not in controlling their choice. Your power is in refusing to betray yourself while they make it. And yet, there is something you do not know. Your soulmate has already made one smaller decision that is leading toward the larger one. They have stopped pretending to themselves that you are easy to forget. They have admitted, perhaps only in private, that what they feel is real. This may sound simple, but for them it was the first locked door opening. Once a truth is admitted within, it begins seeking expression. They are now closer to speaking than they have ever been. The words are forming. The courage is gathering. The old excuses are losing power. But before they approach you, they believe they must resolve one final matter, something they have hidden because they fear it could change how you see everything. This hidden matter is connected to why they pulled away. It is connected to the hardest choice. And it is connected to a promise they made before they fully understood what you would come to mean to them. They have carried this promise like a chain, telling themselves that breaking it would make them disloyal. But keeping it may require them to betray their own heart. This is the crossroads. This is the place where duty, fear, love, and truth have collided. Your soulmate is about to decide which voice will shape the rest of their life. Do not skip the next part when it comes, because the promise they made was not made to you, and the person who received it has no idea that your soulmate is now considering breaking it. What happens next will reveal whether they are finally ready to choose love, or whether one last secret will pull them away just before they reach you.